Great. Welcome everyone to another one of our heart-powered business community calls. It's amazing to have you and everyone that is here. I know we have people from all over the world, and we have some people that are with us every single month. And we have some of you that are here with us as first timers. We celebrate you. Okay, our loyal ones as our first timers. And for the first timers, you might wonder, what is this call all about? Well, we are running something that we call the HeartPowered Global Nation, and we launched that one during Corona times, when people said we need to connect more, we stay together. The speakers world is changing, right? The expert entrepreneurial world is changing. You need to really stick together and learn from each other. At that time, we launched a new community. It's called the HeartPowered Global Nation, because again, we believe our heart holds the greatest power, and in the end, we are all a global nation. And within the community, we started to run the HeartPowered Speaking community call.
Send it back to everybody.
So, and I
just to
see
summarize, still believe that
mute right
the
now.
sample shipment will be left as is in some form
Make sure
and then we will
that we mute everyone that doesn't want to speak right now. Great. Okay, we're all speakers. We love speaking, right? Okay, good. So let me continue introducing our session today. And we built that community HeartPowered Global Nation. We started to run these monthly community calls to bring you together as speakers, to connect with other speakers from around the globe, exchange greatest practices, and also really learn from each other. And if you're not part of our HeartPowered Global Nation yet, Anna, if you share the link with everyone, please come and join us. We share exclusive hints and tips with you on a regular basis. We run amazing events, and we want you to be the first to know about them. Also, whoever doesn't know me yet, my name is Monique Blokzyl. I'm the founder of HeartPowered Business, and our mantra is speak up, scale up, impact the world. And we've helped hundreds of our wonderful clients and people that we work with from more than 50 countries in the meantime to really go professional with their speaking, and to really double, triple, even quadruple their income by using the power of their voice and using our Voice to Millions framework to also make their business more scalable. And I've been a paid speaker myself for more than 20 years, been on stage in more than 25, it's probably more than 30 countries by now on 5 continents. And if you want to use speaking to grow your business, we share always like our gift with you as well. We compiled the best 50 ways of how you can turn speaking into earning and to expand your network and really grow your business in our Speak to Scale map. So Anna is going to share that link. That's always our precious gift to you. No strings attached. If you want to get that access to that map on how to use your speaking to grow your business further, just take that as a gift from us. But this session is not about me. It's not, it's not about us. It's all about you and about our precious guests that will inspire you to get really practical hints and tips that you can apply right away to bring your speaking and your business again to a different level. You can also ask your personal questions on how you can make your speaking and business flourish further, exchange with other professional speakers, and also if you have any high priority projects, also at the end of our session today, you can share it with everyone, get the support, get the visibility with everyone. We also want to support each and every one of you. And also, I know, it's for some of us it's lunchtime, for some of us it's morning, for others it's evening. Just take a break, get inspired, and have fun with us. As you know, we make these sessions very interactive, so you can ask your questions anytime. However, we also always keep some time at the end of our sessions to have a very interactive conversation to make sure that you get your questions answered. Also, we are recording this, so please mute yourself when you're not speaking. So you have a sparkling recording, and you can find this in our Hall of Fame, to really catch up on previous sessions as well. And I can tell you, it's really a wealth of wisdom we've compiled there already. So every month we have an amazing guest and an amazing topic that we cover. And today we're going to talk about marketing with integrity, right? And the question is, how do you really attract more speaking engagements and with sales to use the right language in a right way? Our guest today will really share amazing ways to leverage her communication framework to elevate your message from the stage and in your marketing materials. And we'll really talk about how you discover, today you'll discover Lisa's amazing communication framework that she pioneered to create marketing messages with integrity, with a focus on passion points. So I can't wait to hear all about your passion point concept, Lisa. So let me also tell you a little bit about who is this amazing lady that I got connected with through a shared friend of ours. And she was highly recommended. And even people, when I announced this session, you said, oh my God, I want to let my network know that Lisa is speaking. So you're up for really a juicy treat today, because our guest today is Lisa Manyon. She's the business marketing architect and founder of Write on Create. She pioneered the values-based challenge, solution, invitation, communication framework to really create marketing messages with integrity by focusing on passion points. She received the People's Choice Award at the California Women's Conference, and her philosophies are featured in a lot of media like the Inc. magazine and numerous best-selling books and multiple media outlets. Her strategies are known to create million-dollar results. She's a cancer survivor and author of the #1 international best-selling book, Spiritual Sugar, the divine ingredient to heal yourself with love, where, you know, she got a foreword written by Dr. Joe Vitale and an afterword by Neil Donald Walsh. So she's really connected with the who is who in the industry. You can really learn more about her at writeoncreative.com. And, you know, there's actually an amazing quiz you can do, and we're going to give you access to that later on today. But Lisa, I just love to give you a wholehearted welcome on board with us today. It's amazing to have you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy agenda to be with us today.
I am just delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
Great. So why don't you just jump in, take over?
Great. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to share my screen because I do have a presentation for you, but it's not just a talking head presentation, because that is not how I like to interact. So if you have questions throughout, feel free to let me know, raise your hand, and we can roll in. But I'm just going to set the stage a little bit, tell you a little bit more about me, and we'll dive in, because I want you all to magnetize your ideal soulmate clients with grace and ease. So with that being said, as Monique so graciously stated, we're going to be talking about marketing with integrity to attract more speaking engagement and sales today with passion points. And passion points are really the big difference between connecting in a real, genuine way and maybe connecting in a superficial way using pain points that doesn't create long-term sustainable success. And I'll get into that a little bit more, but a little bit of history about me. I started Write on Creative in 2003. So I used to work for ad agencies, radio stations. I'm a certified radio marketing master. I've done a whole lot of different things in writing, selling air, doing all these things. And quite frankly, I never actually wanted to be a speaker. That's just full transparency. However, because I am a multi-passionate person, as Monique mentioned in her beautiful intro, not only do I run Write on Creative, I also have another passion project, and it is inspiring people to heal with love through my own personal journey with thriving through cancer. And with that being said, I believe business is personal. So many times people will tell us that, oh, don't worry, it's just business. But the truth of the matter is, if someone is misbehaving and they're doing that in the name of business, it's not an energetic alignment. It just basically means that they're not really a great person, and they're using this as an excuse to behave poorly. So I know we're all here, we're all heart-centered, we're all heart-powered, and we're all very passionate. So let's keep it very personal, because that's how we truly connect. I'm a lifelong learner, dreamer, and doer. So I have been writing for as long as I can remember. As soon as I could, I was writing really bad poetry as a child. And, you know, throughout high school and college, I was a journalist. I was actually a lead reporter for the school newspapers. So I've always played in media, written words, and speaking. And many people will tell me, oh my gosh, I can't speak. And I say, if you can write, you can speak. Same thing, if you can speak, you can write. They're very interchangeable, and that's why your message is so important. So I love the written word. I love music, nature, and golf. Marketing and strategy have always come naturally to me. Even when I was 4 years old and I was watching American television like Captain Kangaroo and the Saturday morning cartoons, when that's the only time you could get them, I was dissecting commercials, and I was thinking, these people are missing the mark. This is not how you connect. So it's always been very ingrained in me. I write for Southern Oregon Magazine, and for many years, I also was on the leadership team for the Women Speakers Association. So that's kind of how I got nudged into, look, you can be on the leadership team, but you're actually going to have to speak. And I said, what? I just want to hide behind my computer and write. But the fact of the matter is, I had so much more to share that the stage was calling me, as I know it's calling each of you. So my mission in the world is I teach, train, and transform on 2 core topics: marketing with integrity via Right on Creative, and healing with love via Spiritual Sugar. So as you all know, there are multiple ways that we can speak. There's speak to sell, there's pay to play, there are paid speaking arrangements, there's all kinds of things that we can do. And any offering that you have, any mission that you have, any message that you have can be turned into a speaking opportunity. I play with mission-driven entrepreneurs and business owners, nonprofit organizations, corporate leaders, emerging brands, established brands, multi-passionate coaches, consultants, artists, speakers, and healers. We're the ones where people say you have to just focus on one thing, but we can't possibly do that because we have so many messages that we need to create both a message and strategy for each of them. And it's possible as long as they are synergistic and as long as you're very focused. Most of you are not just a steward of an important message, but the steward of an important message. What you have to share is coming directly from your heart, and no one else but you can share that. And really, you're ready to be the choice, not an option. Being an option is actually not a choice for us when we have a very big message to get out there. So one of the things that is really interesting about how I play with people is often people will tell you you need to niche down to a very specific niche. I am more of a specialty niche, meaning what I share speaks to many. So I don't just speak to car dealers or, one specific industry. It really basically boils down to 2 things. The people that are drawn to me, their pain points are actually pain points. It means that you are not aligned with some of the manipulative techniques that have been shared throughout the ages. And you just have a really big passion in your heart to get your message out in the biggest way possible to help as many people. So today we're going to try and take the pain out of planning and the pain points out of marketing. Many of the people that I speak with have been very stuck energetically when it comes to pain point marketing and using those techniques when speaking from the stage, creating marketing messages, any of it. It doesn't feel right in our hearts. And what I always tell people is if it does not feel right, it probably isn't right. So you want to go back to basics, to your values, to what matters most, and to connecting with people. And as you all know, as a multi-passionate speaker, creator, all of it, you have 2 jobs: making your magic and marketing your magic. And a big way to market your magic is getting that out with the right message on the right stages to connect with the exact right people. So let's get your magic out into the world. You're already doing it, but let's amplify it to magnetize people to you. So you're attracting your ideal soulmate clients and not chasing not so ideal soulmate clients, or accepting offers for speaking that really aren't in alignment, but you think maybe I need to accept this just so I can get out in front of more people. The key is to get out in front of the right people. And so that's another thing that we'll talk about today. 2 things will never go out of style ever, no matter what changes with technology platforms in the world: your message and your strategy. We can pivot them, we can evolve them, we can change them a bit, but when you're really clear on your message and your strategy, you will be able to get onto stages and get that mission out there in a much bigger way. There's a lot of flash in the pan things that we can follow. There's new social media platforms coming out. There's all kinds of things that can seem like bright, shiny objects that can pull us away from our core mission. And today I want us to really just focus on that message in our hearts that we want to get out into the world, and start massaging that in a way that, and strategically massaging that in a way that will truly anchor in your specific legacy to serve the people you're meant to serve. So here's what's really causing the biggest energetic disconnect that I see with speakers, business owners across the board when it comes to really truly connecting with who we're meant to serve. And it is, I mentioned this a little bit, but the traditional formulas are truly broken. The copywriting and marketing formulas that we've all been taught, and some of the communication frameworks that we've been taught as far as closing from the stage and all of that, are not necessarily in alignment with who we are today or with the marketplace or with people, what people want. So often I'll see false scarcity coming out, and this happens a lot from, I've seen it when people are speaking to sell on the stage and they have a digital product and they'll say, oh, but we only have 10 of these available, so you need to act now. We know that's not true, right? So this is all about being true to ourselves, being true to those that we serve, and not employing any of these tactics or techniques that have been taught in the past, because quite frankly, we need to unlearn many of these techniques. The pain point marketing and focusing on the pain points and amplifying those pain points to get people into a heightened emotional frenzy really is not in the best interest or in the highest service to anyone. It can work, of course, but what it typically does is gets people into this manipulated emotional stance where they decide they need to buy whatever it is that you're selling. And then later on, they have buyer's remorse. They have, there's chargebacks, there's return rates, there's a lot of things. And also using fear and shame. It just doesn't work. And that whole problem, agitate and solve, it can create some immediate sales. I'm not going to say that, because there are some psychological truths to the fact that people want to move away from pain rather than towards passion. However, it doesn't create long-term sustainable business success. So those are some of the things I want us to really be thinking about as we're crafting our messages, as we're getting ready to share our beautiful talks with the world. So it's time for marketing with integrity. And what I saw in the marketplace was all we needed to do was make a small shift. And I say this all the time, small shifts make very big impact. So it's pretty simple, and I'm going to go into that in more depth, but it's the challenge, solution, and invitation. In a nutshell, you need to know it, be it, and do it. And it's that simple. And I'm going to give you some examples to help you kind of get an idea of how you can do that. And you'll also get a resource that you can choose to accept if you would like to, which is completely free, no strings attached, to help you apply this framework to your own messaging, whether it's on the stage, on the written page, whatever it is, whatever you want to do. So I talked a little bit about how if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And that really truly is because your values equal value. This is something that's missing from the marketplace for many people. When we focus on our values, we're able to attract more people who share our similar values, who are like-minded. So we want to make sure that we're infusing our values into our vision, into our mission, and using them to fuel and amplify our message. It's super important to be aligned energetically in everything that we do. And so many people will compromise their values when they're chasing the next bright, shiny object or simply going after the low-hanging fruit. There's many people who teach, if you need to make a quick buck, just throw something together. Might not be your passion, but you can sell it and you can make money. Sure, it's true, you can. However, when you infuse your values, which are really the core essence of who you are and how you show up in the world, you're going to attract more people who do the same. And we're just going to make the world a better place, because we all need to do better. And if we can demonstrate by example, lead by example, because as speakers, we are all leaders, then we're definitely already on the track to make the world a better place. Facts tell and stories sell. And this is always helpful when we're crafting talks, when we're thinking about being on different stages, and when we're looking at who we're speaking to. So studies show that men respond more to facts. They're a little bit more linear sometimes in thinking. And what I want to say about that too is that we all have masculine and feminine qualities, both men and women. So I'm not trying to exclude anyone or say this is an absolute. This is just something that has been learned over the years. Women tend to be more interested in stories and emotional connections. And what's interesting about that is for decades, women have been influencing over 80% of all buying decisions. That information and that data is still not getting the respect that it deserves, because what's happening is many people fall short in their marketing messages because they're not realizing they should be speaking to those who are influencing the purchases, and many times they're missing the mark. There was actually a study done by the Next Web several years ago where they surveyed a bunch of women about advertising and messages in general. And what they found is that 90% of the women felt completely misunderstood by the messages that were being shared in the world. And at that point, only 3% of creative directors in advertising agencies were women. So I'm just inviting us to learn how we all respond to messaging and think about that as we're crafting our message, because when we showcase our value proposition of what we offer, we're able to connect and blend both stories and facts so that we can reach a wider audience. This one gets a little bit challenging when we're speaking, because it is kind of about us, but really what we're speaking about should be about our audience, should be about who we want to connect with and what our message is going to do for them. So we want to position our expertise very powerfully, and we want them to be interested in our product and service, but we really want them to know how it can help them. And one of the mistakes that I see many speakers making is it's all about them, right? It's all about all of the wonderful things that they've achieved. And that's great. It really is. We do need to seed some of that in to position ourselves very powerfully to be that expert. But at the same time, you want to make sure that your marketing message and also your speaking highlights that value proposition for your prospects, as opposed to just giving yourself props. I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit more in a little bit too. It's a fine balance. We definitely want to celebrate our success, and I celebrate each of you today for being here, because you're showing up for yourself so that you can serve others. And that is truly a beautiful gift to humanity. So think about your ideal soulmate clients and customers as well. Another mistake that I see many people making is trying to be all things to everyone. And when that happens, we end up being nothing to no one. And I know that that sounds harsh. It's just true. So being really specific about who you really serve and what their challenges are and what they deeply desire is of paramount importance. And I said earlier that I don't have a specific target market per se, right? I break the rules a little bit. You'll find that I'm a bit of an outlier and a pioneer and a rebel, which I love, but it's all with love. And so I don't specifically serve coaches only. I serve a wide spectrum of clients who have two very deep desires. They don't want to do pain point marketing, and they want to get their message out in a very big way to change the world in a positive way. So we want to really think about who those clients, those customers, your audience, who they are, and what is fueling the fire of their heart and soul, what makes them tick, and get clear about how you can serve your solution. And we'll talk more about that too, but how you can serve your solution in a beautiful way that makes you the person who is truly being of service, because we know there's a lot of noise in the marketplace. And when we want to be the choice, not an option, and when we are the absolute steward of our message, this is super important. And so many people will spend a lot of time on this, maybe get stuck thinking, well, I've been told that I have to know, all of the psychographic information, all of the demographic information, all of this about our ideal clients or audience. In some cases, that can be very helpful. And in other cases, that can kind of handcuff you in a way, because I assure you that even when doing market research, if I threw all my clients into a room together, they would look around at each other and wonder, what are we all doing here? What do we even have in common? Because I work with, larger corporations that are doing multi-millions, and I work with independent solopreneurs. It just depends on where they are, and all kinds of different industries, right? But the two things that they have in common are, again, not interested in pain points. They want to be marketing and attracting clients in an aligned way, attracting really aligned speaking engagements with the right communities, and they want to make the world a better place. And I don't work with anyone who isn't. So it's that simple. When we get that clear, then we begin to magnetize who we're really meant to play with. But sometimes it doesn't matter if they're all reading the same magazine, because I assure you, some of my people are reading popular science and some of them are reading tabloids, and that isn't going to influence the way that I market to people. So I often say, take what people teach you, or take the pieces from what resonates with you when people are teaching you, but let the rest go. And I invite you to not ever follow anyone as a specific template cookie cutter approach, because we have to be able to modify what we do for our audiences. It's entirely important that we do that. So to map out your magic, we're going to map out your magic to create some goals. And what I mean by that is, we know we've got to get our message out in a big way. And the best way often to do that is through the stage, whether it's a beautiful virtual stage like this, or it's a larger in-person event. We need to get that out there. But it's also important for multi-passionate people to create a plan and strategy for each of your offers, each of your speaking topics, and set goals for not only the number of people that you want to serve, but also the money that you'd like to make from that, right? They go hand in hand. And oftentimes there's some guilt associated with selling our magic. But the bottom line is, selling is not really about selling. Selling is about serving. It's about building relationships, and it's about strengthening communication. So once you've created your plan and strategy for each and every speaking topic that you have, each and every offer that you have, you're going to be able to hone your message, hone your speech, whatever it might be, your presentation, and then you're going to want to test and track. And this is where a lot of people kind of miss the mark. Sometimes we'll put something together, we'll try it once and it doesn't really work, and we can get frustrated and we give up. Now, many of us are a little bit more seasoned than that, but I still see this happening. Some people will roll out a new talk and they'll say, hey, they don't get as much response as they wanted, or something falls flat. It's because you need to test and track. And oftentimes it's because you're not actually including your value proposition into that speech. And we'll talk more about that. The other thing is deciding where you want to be seen and heard, right? So I talk about strategy and messaging all the time, and this has a lot to do with your strategy. You can be seen and heard and speak on multiple platforms. But you want to be really clear about where it is that you want to show up, and create that plan, a laser focused plan to make that happen. I also have a little tip for you. When you create a message that magnetizes, you will not have to seek out these opportunities. They will come to you. Many, many years ago, before I had even named my challenge, solution, and invitation framework, which I'm going to walk you through here shortly, I was just doing what I do intuitively. And that was great because I was getting results, but people could not wrap their minds around it. They weren't quite sure. They're like, okay, she's doing something kind of magical. She's, shifting and massaging things. There's no pain points, it's passion points. What the heck is she doing? So I was invited to be featured on the cover of Aspire magazine. My good friend Linda Joy has a publication company and publishes books and is amazing. And so I was super honored to be there because some of my heroines, like Louise Hay, had been featured on that same magazine. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But what happened is I had to write an article about my process. And at that time, it's when I actually named what I was doing. And this is a really important part of helping you decide where you want to be seen and heard. When you name it and claim it, it will basically take on a life of its own. So by naming the challenge, solution, and invitation framework in that article, it took off. People understood it. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so easy. I just need to know what the challenge is and then offer my solution. And then I can just extend a graceful invitation. And the relevance of that story here is that once it had that form, once I named it and claimed it, it took on a life of its own in media. I was interviewed by Inc. magazine and then invited to speak on stages and many other things. So that's why I share, not only do you need to decide where you want to be seen and heard, but get really clear about your message. And sometimes a disruptive message is going to serve you in the long run. So when I started talking about passion points instead of pain points, it ruffled some feathers. There were some ripples happening around that because no one had been teaching that before. I've been doing this for a couple of decades now, and it's beginning to catch on, and you'll hear people saying, stop the bro marketing, stop these other things. But long before any of that terminology was out, I was saying, no, just be real. Let's focus on passion points. Let's paint a picture of possibility. Let's magnetize people to us, and let's be really of true service. And let's get rid of all the hype. I mean, the hype is not going to help us. It's just a bright, shiny object that creates some quick flash in the pan results, but not long-term sustainability. So think about it. What's that stage that you really want to be on? Where will you be highly aligned with those ideal clients and the people that you most want to serve? And reverse engineer into that. I'm a big fan of reverse engineering. Another way that I'm a little bit of an outlier and kind of a rebel is that you may have heard the age-old adage that your copy is king. I completely disagree with that. I believe that your copy, your message, whatever you're speaking about, is queen. And strategy, your plan, is king. And here's why. I mentioned that we all possess masculine and feminine energy. Absolutely we do, both men and women. However, the copy, your messaging, your speaking, that is the feminine energy that builds relationships. That's what brings things together. And your strategy is king. That has the more masculine, more structured energy that's going to drive the plan. So I often say you want to keep both of these balanced. Neither is more important than the other, but together they're going to help you create an irresistible synergy that will attract people to your message. It's just like a relationship. They must work together to get results. If they are not working together, there's going to be misalignment with the energy, and it's going to be a struggle. And so a good example of that is I've seen people who have a really great message, and they've worked really hard on that message, and it is going to change the world. Yet they have no real strategy to get the eyes on the message. They're not getting on the right stages. They're not using the strategy piece to really leverage their message to get them seen and heard, booked, paid, all of that. The same is true if you can have a really great strategy, but a super weak message. And what's going to happen there is people will come to your sales page or to your speaking presentation, and you haven't really fine-tuned your value proposition, so you're not going to get those results that you would like. So think about your messaging, your speaking message, your content that you're creating to promote that as queen, as that nurturing piece of it. And think also of your strategy as king. How can we marry these together in a beautiful way so that it's working synergistically to create those results that you would like to create? Words have energy. This is not new, right? People know that everything is energy. And that's a scientific fact. It's not just a woo-woo esoteric thing. It's an absolute truth. It's a universal truth. So I've been trying to educate people about the fact that when you even use the term pain points to highlight challenges and struggles, it creates a negative energy from the very beginning. And we've been programmed to accept it as normal. You'll hear people in conversations and coaches say, even sometimes when they start out their discovery calls, what is your biggest pain point? Immediately, I'm going to turn around and run, because they're not trying to speak to me as a person. They're really trying to dig into, where I'm struggling, which can be beneficial and helpful if it's done in the right way. But I see it misused in so many ways, and I see the harm that can bring, because if they're disingenuous, which unfortunately is the case in some with some people. So we want to make sure that we're really focusing on those passion points, and we're paying attention to how we're interacting with people, And we're unprogramming what we've been programmed to do on autopilot. And pain points have been around for a long time. And I've been teaching passion points for a long time. And people are beginning to realize, oh, wow, I didn't even realize how subtly I had been slightly brainwashed to believe that this was the right way to do things. And it's not 100% wrong. It just could be improved, right? I don't want to make anyone wrong here. I just want you to personally align with what is going to help you in the long run. So your message that you're speaking about and your copy, your content has more power than you might realize. Think about this. Your message is truly the DNA of all of your marketing messages, all of the messages out there. If you were to strip your words away, what would you have? Nothing. Even think about it visually. Say if you're trying to do advertising, there's a billboard with nothing on it. Nothing's going to happen, no words. You might have a picture and it might elicit some emotions or something, but our words are truly that powerful. What we speak, we can speak into existence. We can speak things out of existence. And your word is your honor, which is why it's so important to be creating these marketing messages with integrity that can magnetize more sales and more speaking engagements and truly align you with your big mission. So when I first came out with the Challenge Solution Invitation Communication Framework, it was called the New Copywriting and Marketing Framework for Success. Now, it's not that new because I've been teaching it for decades, but nonetheless, the Challenge Solution and Invitation Framework is extremely powerful. I'm going to dive into that in just a second. I see some chat messages, so I want to peek at those real quick and make sure I'm not missing anything from anyone. Let me just jump up there. I just don't want to leave.
There's one question from Anne saying, so how do you ask about what's stopping them?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to get right into that on the challenge. So instead of really focusing on the pain points, we do acknowledge the challenge. We want to know what the problem is. There's not a problem with finding out what the problem is. And the best way to do that is to ask, right? But it's more of the language that you use around asking. And that is, what is it that can help improve your life right now? Is there something that you need specific support with? As opposed to many times, and I see this a lot in, I'm going to just use the healthcare and supplements industry as an example. A lot of times what happens is people will be focusing, or the people pushing products, say diet pills, something like that, will be pushing those. They don't really approach it too gently. They jump in and they are focusing on those pain points and talking about, do you feel awful because you are overweight, you have too many pounds on, all of these things, which do not uplift, right? Yes, it does speak to that pain, but what it does is it agitates that pain, like the old formulas. And then it makes them feel very unsure. It can make you feel desperate. It can make you feel as though that solution that's being presented to you is the only solution for you. So you buy, and then you find out that it's a placebo pill that's being sold. And, there's been lawsuits against the company and all of these different things. And that's kind of a severe example. But the best way to find out where people are is to ask them. It's really, truly that simple. And so I'm going to share some more about that too. And again, I'm going to continue to look at these messages as they come up, but I have a hard time going back and forth between the two. So if I get in the flow, Monique, feel free to say, wait a minute, Lisa, please answer this question.
Oh,
so
good.
Let's
keep an eye on it. I know your powerhouse. Just keep rocking.
All right, I'm doing it. Thanks. I just don't want I don't want to overlook anyone's question because I love interacting. So, all right, so let's talk about the challenge. Here's the thing with the challenge, you need to know it, and to speak to that question, we need to meet people where they are with empathy and understanding, right? So an example of that, one of the things that I do is, as I mentioned, messaging and strategy are super key, and helping people to understand how to apply the challenge, solution, and invitation framework is a big passion of mine. So the challenge that many of the people that come my way have is the techniques that they've been using are not getting them the exact results they would like. They are finding that the pain point marketing is falling flat, not connecting. and they're really craving a way to do it differently. So that's their challenge. And it's really that simple. So as you look at the people that are gravitating towards your speeches, towards your presentations, towards all of these things, think about what it is that they're coming to you for. What are they deeply desiring from you, and how can you serve them in that way? So it's all about the problems that you solve. What are the challenges and the deepest desires of your ideal soulmate client? So when it comes to the pain point marketing, the piece that I saw missing there was really painting that picture of the deepest desires. What do they deeply desire? But doing it with compassion and not with manipulation. And that's the distinction. How can you help eliminate those challenges and help the people you're meant to serve achieve their goals? Even if it's transformation can be a little bit more difficult to package and to promote, but it's completely possible when you're able to show the change, the transformation, what happens when they experience you. And again, it's not necessary to poke it at the pain points or focus on the negative energy. We want to meet people where they are, because here's the thing, like I said, business is personal. We want to meet people where they are. Sometimes to do that, we have to ask them, what is going on in your life right now that I can absolutely serve you with? They do need to know a little bit more about what you do, and that's where we get to the solution part. So in the solution, you need to be it. This is owning it. This is being the choice, not an option. This is being the steward of your message. And you need to be able to offer proof that you can deliver what you promise with your value proposition. So you may be thinking, cool, Lisa, that sounds great. What's value proposition? Because a lot of people ask that. Your value proposition is what you offer, and it's encapsulated with results, case studies, and stories even. So what do your prime prospects most desire or aspire to achieve? That's a passion point, right? You want to bring, pardon me, I need to take a sip of water. So with your solution, you want to include your passion points about what they most desire. But not only that, paint a picture of possibility so that they understand the transformation or the results that they may receive, and craft your message to magnetize your ideal soulmates and customers in that way. Here's what I mean by that. So we talked about the challenge. You need to know what it is. And I mentioned as an example, I offer my messaging framework, and I actually offer a quiz to help people, called the messenger quiz, to help people apply this, right? And to determine what their actual messaging style is, and then how they can apply the challenge, solution, invitation framework to their specific situation. So really my solution is the challenge, solution, and invitation framework. It comes packaged in many different ways, but the bottom line is what this does, and what I'm most excited about with this, is it removes energetic blocks that people have had that kept them stuck from achieving the success they've always desired, because they've been using pain point techniques. So I have shared this framework with people, and I've been told, you just, by speaking into existence the fact that I can focus on passion points instead of pain points, you have just removed a decade-long block that's kept me from really, truly sharing my magic with the world, because I felt like I had to poke at pain points. And you don't have to do anything that anyone ever tells you. You have to listen even to what I'm sharing. Some things may resonate with you and some things may not, but you take what really resonates with you and your values and you move that forward. So I know the challenge is people struggle with their messaging, creating their speaking platform talks, and with the pain points, right? And needing a good strategy. I know that my solution is what I teach in many different ways, and that I can help them not only remove those energetic blocks, but also get more sales. One person, I love this. This is such a fun story, because there's a woman who subscribes to my newsletter and has for a very long time. And we first met through the Evolutionary Business Council, which I know Monique is a big part of. She's an incredible woman. She read the article that came out when I named the Challenge Solution and Invitation Framework in Aspire magazine. And this was a long, long time ago, but probably, gosh, I want to say 12 years ago now. She read that and she said, oh my gosh, this Challenge Solution and Invitation Framework is going to work for me. It's going to work really well. What happened there is she had hired a sales coach and she was working with him for over a year, and she spent tens of thousands of dollars with this person who was teaching the pain point marketing. She was speaking from the stage and she was trying to get more engagement after the fact to sign up for her offer. She applied the Challenge Solution and Invitation Framework in her next 2 talks, and people were flocking to the stage. She said she got better results just from reading that article and applying my philosophies than she had with working with a coach for an entire year. So those are the kinds of value proposition and stories that you might consider sharing about what it is that you offer. You want to be able to easily and gracefully share some examples so people can wrap their minds around why you are the choice, why they should play with you, and why your solution is exactly what they want. So what I've done is I have a lot of different things that I offer, but to get people really dialed in with their core message that illustrates that value proposition, I'm now offering the messenger quiz. And that, again, helps you figure out what your messenger type is and gives you an exercise to lead you through the Challenge, Solution, and Invitation Framework so that you can create marketing messages with integrity and modify your speaking engagements and any of your presentations, really. Which leads us to the invitation. The invitation, pretty simple. You've got to do it. And you would be surprised at how many people I see that simply do not ask. There seems to be a bit of trepidation and fear around asking for some. And if we don't ask, no one's going to do anything. So always lead people to the next step to do business with you or to accept your value added gift at no strings, no cost, whatever that might be. So make sure you're leading with that invitation. Once you have met them where they are, know what their challenge is, you've shared your solution and some ways that it can help, and then you can simply extend that graceful invitation. And it doesn't have to be pushy or hard sell, and it doesn't have to use any of those weird antiquated tactics. Never assume that the people you're speaking to know what to do next. We are all so close to our own magic. We know exactly what we have to offer. We know what's next, but many times we don't ask. And so extend that invitation. It's often called a call to action, and invite people to take the next step and invite them to say yes. I see this not only when I see people missing this, not only when they're speaking from stage, but a big place that I see this is on websites. So for example, your website needs an overall site strategy and an individual page strategy. And oftentimes I'll like to go to the about page because I want to dig in and learn more about this person or this company that I'm thinking about playing with. And I'll be reading the about page and I'll get to the end and I'm fascinated. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is so great. What's next? And it just stops. There's no invitation. There's no call to action. There's no opportunity to book a call, to book a person for speaking, to do anything. And so what happens then is you lose people. They just go off on their merry little way and they don't think about you again because you haven't done your due diligence to extend that olive branch, to extend that invitation, to say, hey, this is the next step if you're interested. And it is our job to lead people with a really beautiful breadcrumb trail to where they're going to get the best results. So always include that invitation. So in the spirit of sharing an example, my invitation to you is to simply take the messenger quiz. It's at themessengerquiz.com. If you're interested in learning what your messenger style is, if you're interested in getting an exercise that will lead you step by step through the Challenge, Solution, and Invitation Framework, no strings, no cost. You do have to trust me with your email address, but I promise you I will protect that and never share it because spam is my nemesis. So again, my invitation, take the messenger quiz, discover your messenger type, learn how to apply the Challenge, Solution, and Invitation Framework, and see how that really amplifies your message to magnetize people to you in a beautiful way. I want to talk a little bit about some results real quick. And then I want to just open it up for a discussion for all of us, because I know you probably have some thoughts and questions, but good friend of mine and a colleague. It's interesting how a lot of our clients become friends. She did a quick start strategy session with me, and she was having a hard time figuring out what to call herself. First of all, sure, she was evolving. And what happens is I often work with people who are evolving their message and are evolving what they're offering in the world. So that needs to change and be massaged a little bit. She was telling me that she was intuitive, and she was a mentor, and she was a business coach, and all of these things. And it was a really super long title. And I said, well, wait a minute, Therese, I think what you're telling me is you're the intuitive business mentor. And she said, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. And that's so much cleaner and more clear. So in the first 12 minutes of us working together, I refined and retitled her business title, her taglines, and some of her signature program talks. Because what happens is we're so close to our own message. If we don't get outside perspective, just like when Linda Joy said, hey, I want to feature you on the cover of my magazine, but you're going to have to name this baby so we can get it out there, right? She said, I know you're doing magic, but you've got to name it. So same thing, the naming is really important, because once we name it, we can speak into that. We can create strategies around that. So that's just one example. She's a coach. I adore her. And that was with a quick start strategy session. And then Matthew and Orna Walters, I love the story so much. They're relationship coaches. So, in the spirit of passion points and heart-centered businesses and heart-powered businesses, this is a really great example. They came to me because they wanted help with a Manyon marketing web makeover. I review websites and help people one-on-one to kind of look at if their strategy is really working and their messaging is kicking in with the ideal people. Well, as relationship coaches, they were leveraging some of their digital products, which is great because we all want to have some leveraged income as well. But at the same time, I said to them, listen, I'm your ideal client. And what I would want from you is to be right there with you, in front of you, with you holding my heart in your hands, to meet that ideal person, to figure out, what's happening in relationships. They resisted what I was suggesting for quite some time. But what I said was lead with a VIP day, supplement with your digital products, and it's going to work way better for you. So from us figuring that out and helping with some of the web content, I actually hired me to help with all of their web content and massage all of that. They made that shift. And from that one small shift, they were able to double their investment with me, and they created a wait list, which they still have to this day. This was many years ago, but I'd like to illustrate, again, this is some illustration of value proposition for some different offerings that I have, and how it's important that you have an example for every revenue stream that you have available. Another one of my favorite people on the planet, and I know Monique knows Jennifer Huff as well. Jennifer is incredible. I was blessed to work with her team for an ongoing period of time to help with messaging and strategy. She was wanting someone who was teaching marketing in a more aligned way. And she said, I've got to talk to you, Lisa. So I worked with her entire team to help with some messaging and strategy and all of that. And I also suggested a speaking revenue stream for her that, when implemented, will push her business over the $1 million mark. It just really simplified things for her. And so I share that with you because getting outside perspective, being involved in the programs that Monique has to offer, choosing to work with someone one-on-one, but really choosing the right people to help you move your business forward is imperative, because we're all too close to our own message. We're all too close to our own mission. And these are the ways that we can get way better results. So just a quick recap, and then we'll open it up. Focus on passion points, not pain points. Paint that picture of possibility. What will life look like, and what will people experience once they are, they're subjected to your magic? They're learning about you. And be very clear about your value proposition. Now, this comes in handy, having your value proposition ready when you're speaking from any stage, because as you know, we want to seed things. We want people to know the different things that are available to them, but we want to seed things in a way where they realize that you get results, that you walk your talk, that you're doing things with integrity, and that you deliver upon your promises. So that is why the value propositions are so incredibly important. And again, have a fresh message and strategy for every revenue stream with a clear invitation. I gave you actually 4 examples. My freebie, which is the messenger quiz that you can all take and do whatever you'd like to do with. I would love for you to massage your messages. And then I talked about the quick start strategy with Therese. I talked about a Manyon marketing web makeover, which then led to a full 5-page web copy and strategy package with Orna and Matthew Walters. And then when I talked about Jennifer, I didn't tell you specifically what that package was because it was a custom high-level retained package. We co-created an agreement together, and I was on retainer as a part of her team for over a year. So being super clear about everything you're offering, and including how you're packaging your talks, if you have more than one talk, making sure that you're talking about the results that you've gotten for the audiences, how you have transformed audiences, because whomever's booking you is going to want to know that. They're going to want to know what people walk away with. And again, this can easily be modified depending on the type of speaking engagement that you're doing, whether you're doing a pay to play, speak to sell, speaking from the stage for pay, or even being on a business panel. I mean, as you all know, you do this, you can speak at a ton of different places, but you want to have really good strategy. You want to have your value proposition dialed in, and then the rest will follow. Some other resources to support you while we're jumping in to have some conversations here. The Write on Creative blog. I've been blogging for a very long time. There's tons of information there. Writeoncreative.com is my main domain name. I have Your Message Matters podcast. You're happy to listen. I'm happy for you to listen into very short, less than 15-minute podcast episodes there. And then I also have a section on my blog that you're all invited to participate in if you have additional questions after we're done today. And that is the Ask Lisa section of my website, where you can submit questions to me. I will answer to you personally, and I may even turn it into a blog post as a teaching tool for others. So thank you all for your patience. Closing reminder, take the messenger quiz, and then I'm going to stop sharing and we'll just jump in, and any questions that you have, I'm more than happy to answer, or comments. Love to hear from you.
Right, that's amazing, Lisa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think it's so important that we rethink how we're communicating our message out there. As you said, a lot of people have an amazing message, but are not necessarily having a strategy to get it out in the greatest way, right? So there was also still a question from Lumi, and I'd like to actually share that with you. She was asking, well, as a coach, how do we know? She'd like to know, how can she know better what the pain points are for clients without asking them directly? Maybe you can give an answer on that.
Yeah, I mean, instead of using the term pain points, which happens to be a pain point for me, clearly, because of what I teach, you can ask them where they are in their business and where they want to be. There are so many ways to approach this in a softer, more gentle, more connected way. So we do have to ask them. And you can even ask them, are there any specific problems that you're facing in your business right now that you need support with? It's really, it's languaging. It's softening things. It's treating people like people, not numbers. And it's getting to the heart of what they truly desire. Because one part of it is, yes, the problems they're facing, but another part of it is, the desire. What do they want to achieve? What are those problems keeping them from doing? And if we could eliminate those problems with our solution, and I call them challenges just because I like it better, it's softer, but it's still challenge, problem, same thing. Oftentimes we just have to ask them. You can do that by surveying them. You can have a conversation. It really depends on your business model. And everybody has a different way that they bring people in. Some people have a quiz on their site where they ask people right up front, or not a quiz, a survey, where they ask people right up front, where are you in your business? Where do you want to be, in the next 12 months, and review all revenue streams and things like that. So I hope that's helpful. You don't have to focus really. You want to know what the problem is. I'm going to be clear about that. But the way that you ask about it will help you either create great trust or create an energetic disconnect.
Great. There's another question coming up from Lumi as well. What would be the 3 biggest mistakes coaches and speakers make? That's a very big question, Lumi. Do you have any specific question around that? Maybe I'll bring you, maybe just unmute yourself and hop into the room.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much, Lisa. This was an amazing hour. I was more interested in the way they market their message, because sometimes I'm starting and I'm struggle to how do I differentiate myself from the others. And I was thinking, how can you stand out? Because I see lots of coaches have very similar message, very similar programs, and that's the area I was thinking, what are things that can look differently? The pain point is a very good one, because instead of focusing, these are your issues, I can help you. You can focus on, this is the result I can bring you. So you're coming from the other perspective. But what other things maybe I should consider when I start my business?
What kind of coaching are you doing?
That's a good question. I work, the clients I have so far, with people employed that feel behind on their life or stuck, and they want to get somewhere else.
So they have a job and maybe they want to start their own business, or they just want to be more fulfilled
Or change
in their
career, or
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, for you, I think it's a matter of figuring out what transformation you really want to help them make. And with the clients that you've already been working with, have deeper conversations with them. Here's one of the things that people are often reluctant to do, and we shouldn't be, because once we have a client, we should be building those relationships. And as I said, you know, marketing, copywriting, speaking, all of that, even selling, is truly just about relationships. So ask them and find out, you know, ask them, how did I help you? Follow up with them, find out what results did you get? Where were you when you started? Where are you now? Request those testimonials. And as you get that information, you will be able to shape and evolve your message. One of the things that I mentioned, like when working with Therese is highly established. She's been around for a long time. She's a powerhouse. Yet she had gotten to a point where she was evolving her message and she needed some help and some outside perspective. So I think actually, if you were to go through the messenger quiz and take the challenge, or do the exercise for challenge, solution, and invitation, that's going to give you some additional support to help with that. But it really is about conversations and doing that research and asking specifically how you could have done things better. Is there anything else that I could have done to serve you that you were hoping would happen? Because that piece of communication is often missing when we're putting things together. And what happens is, especially when we're starting a business, there's so many things going on that it can become sort of transactional, and you're kind of like, okay, cool, we're done with the package, so we're just done.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would say that is one of the biggest mistakes that I see anyone doing. And even when speaking from the stage, if you at all can figure out a way to have a follow-up system, that's going to help you so much, because people can see you speak and think you are amazing. But if there's no way for them to reach out at the end, just like including that invitation on how they can stay connected, you're just going to lose them, right? They may remember what happened, but they're not going to know how you can serve and how to take the next step.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'll take the quiz after this.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're totally welcome. If you have questions, you can email me. It comes directly from my email, so it's me.
Great. Okay, I think we're over the hour. Lisa, it's been amazing. So much insights, and it sounds like, I start seeing people saying, "Yay, that was amazing. Thank you, thank you." It really switched my perspective. Okay, so it's powerful. Let's start rounding off our conversation today. Would you like to actually share a final encouraging or inspiring message with everyone? And before we do, I also like to share the link here to our Professional Speakers Launch Program, because we're going to get going again in September to really help people go professional with their speaking. And, message crafting is an important part of that as well. I want to share that link here for everyone that's interested in exploring that further. But with that, I'd like to give it back to you, Lisa. Some final, inspiring, encouraging message on how to really uplift the message.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple. Keep it real. That is the most important thing. I think we get nervous and we think that we have to adhere to what everyone else has told us to do. And I say, yes, take some of that advice that resonates with you, let the rest go, allow your intuition and your experience to lead, and you're going to connect with exactly who you're meant to serve. And also, I know each of you are the steward of a very big mission and message, even if you haven't completely fine-tuned it yet. So don't be afraid to own that message and get it out there.
Amazing. Love, love, love it, Lisa. And love to have each and every one of you on with us today. Thank you for allowing us to inspire you and uplift you. And if there's anything that you'd like to share in the chat, any kind of amazing projects you're running or anything you want everyone to know about you, do it now. I think it's also always valuable, right, to let everyone know what you're working on right now. And I see how gratitude is coming in, like Heikki's saying, thank you for a very inspiring session. Yay. Heikki and Anne, thank you for the amazing session. Yay. Lisa, I think you inspired everyone here. Thank you for being on. And passion points will definitely stick with me. Again, let's keep actually focusing on these passion points as we craft our stories, as we are on stage, as we are in conversation. Thank you for so generously sharing with us today, Lisa. Thank you all for being on with us. And in August, right, we always take a month break. September, we are back with another amazing guest on one of our HeartPowered Speaking community calls on the 12th of September. I can already say as much. So we'll keep communicating about that. But Lisa, thank you again once more. This will be recording in our Hall of Fame. If any one of you wants to watch it again, please do. If you want to pick up additional golden nuggets, I think you'll all benefit from that. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you all. Have an amazing summer, and we'll be back soon. Speak up, scale up, impact the world, as you always say, in your own powerful way.